Welcome to this special screening of Nope by Jordan Peele. You got to really emphasize that P in Nope. I'm very glad that you're all here. My name is Cameron Bailey. I'm the CEO at TIFF. We're doing this very special screening in IMAX because we have IMAX. We also have two very special guests we're going to bring out in a moment, but just a couple of things that I want to say. I want to first of all thank some of the people and the partners that make everything we do possible at TIFF, not just now, but all year round. Beginning with our lead and major sponsors, Bell, RBC, Bulgari, and Visa, and also our major public supporters, the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. Thanks for providing us with this film to Universal Pictures. And so we got two people here who were the vision behind Nope. Jordan Peele, the writer and director, you know him from Get Out and Us and Nope. You know him from his long career in comedy and then the incredible movies he's been making. And we're joined also today by the cinematographer for Nope, Hoyte van Hoytema, a visionary himself in terms of what he does with images. You will also know that he is the cinematographer for many Christopher Nolan films. And we're thrilled to have them both here to talk about Nope. Maybe we'll get some secrets that nobody knows about yet. We'll see. Please join me in welcoming Jordan Peele and Hoyte van Hoytema.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. We love you. We love you all. Thank you so much. Oh, we got another microphone. Oh, that's cozy.
Welcome. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming. I know it's a quick visit to the festival, but we really wanted to do this because Nope is one of those movies that's really, everybody's been talking about all summer long. People have been seeing it multiple times. This is a chance to watch it in IMAX and to hear from you before the screening as well. And we're not necessarily going to solve everything that people have been asking about. I don't know if we'll hear the inside scoop on the standing shoe, for instance. But we're going to ask some other, so nothing to say on that one. But we're going to ask some other questions of you for sure. And Hoyt, we want to hear something about just the making of the film as well on the visual side. Camera work is a part of the story, and of course, it's got an incredibly strong and distinct visual style. So we want to hear about those things as well. So let me begin, Jordan, by asking you about the path from Get Out to Us to Nope in terms of how you see the progression for yourself as a filmmaker, and how deliberate was that evolution that brought us to Nope?
A lot of what went into Get Out and conceiving of that film was this idea of coming up with something that that I could get made because it was cheap and would have as much of an impact as possible. I didn't think, I had no gauge of success besides that if after this film they let me make another film. And so I've kept that as my my goal with each film. And I know obviously they're gonna let me make films. At this point, they're gonna let me, it's cool. But I think of it very much, I think of a film as what my audience expects is coming, and to give them something that manifests differently from that. But also I do think about leaving them wanting a completely new story and a new take from me in the future as well. So I've been following that model a bit.
And that brought you to this particular story as well, which isn't maybe what people might have been expecting. You're working with sci-fi in a new way as well, which is a little bit of a progression from the last two.
I relied on reveals and plot twists and everything but this idea of epic craft, which scared me. And so with this one, the jumping off point was, okay, they don't know that I can bring a spectacle. And that's going to be my goal. And so that was the word that was sort of the guiding principle to crafting this film, crafting this story. And following the path of spectacle led me to ask questions about why humanity needs spectacle, why we're addicted to spectacle, which led me right to this theme of exploitation, which runs central in the DNA of the movie.
Spectacle has become such a big part of movies over the last, I mean, you can start it wherever you like, from the 1950s or even earlier than that, but most recently with superhero movies and the kind of visual effects epics that we've seen, the audience seems to crave spectacle, but you also encourage us to question spectacle and what people look up to. They're literally looking up to the sky for a spectacle in your film. How are you balancing giving an audience spectacle in Nope and encouraging us to question it at the same time?
You know, I think of my responsibility as a storyteller to be a bit of a mirror. You know, I think I've got a interpretation on things that you know, people want to see. So I think my responsibility is to sort of try and tell the best story I can, try and tell the most give the audience the best case of immersion, but to also not let myself off the hook as a human being who is guilty of all the sins I'm trying to point out. And with all my film, I'm trying to come to a central sin. But, you know, oh, Siri just got popped off. Ophelia. That's ironic. That's lovely. I mean, when we talk about spectacle, though, really that's where enter Hoyt,
Yes.
who, you know, I pride myself on my ability to have just wonderful collaborations with people, and we were ships passing in the night for us a bit. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. We don't know what happened.
No, we don't.
But that worked fine. But for Nope, it became very intensely clear that he was the only person equipped to take on this type of spectacle, because it was you know, when I came to him, I was like, look, I want to do something that's never been done. I want to push. I want to have a movie making adventure that I want to feel like when Steven Spielberg made Jaws, and it just felt like he's holding on. You can see in the film that it feels like he's holding on by his, you know, by his bare hands or whatever. And so that the world of expertise and collaboration that he brought is really one of, if not the things I'm most proud of about this film.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask both of you about the sky in Nope. How many of you have already seen Nope? All right, a lot of you, but not everybody. So we're going to try to avoid spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Uh-oh, okay.
We're going for it. Shut your ears if you...
Yeah. The sky is eerie, haunting. There's something unsettling about looking up to the sky in the film. Can you talk a little bit about how you decided to shoot it?
Can I just prompt this thing?
Yes, prompt it.
There's something that nobody really knows, because on one hand, the clouds are CG, right? The clouds we had to kind of create. I think one of the elements about the sky that I think is particularly fascinating that people don't know, because I haven't wanted to sort of ruin the illusion, but I'll ruin it for you today, is the night shots, for the most part, were shot at day, which is due to a technological and strategic thing that he brought to the table. So yeah, talk about
Dave
that.
and I, talk about that, Hoyt.
Talk about that, Hoyt.
Yeah. I'm going to let Siri answer this one.
I have no clue how you did that.
I think it started a little bit when we were scouting that our little arena the first time. We shot everything in this valley down in Aqua Dulce, and Jordan found this location pretty early, and we went scouting there. We went scouting there at night, I remember, and we drove out with our cars out in the middle of nowhere, and we were getting out of the car and switched all the lights in the car off and walked into the field basically, and we walked into sort of a tremendous milky blackness, and we couldn't see anything. But after like a minute, we sort of started looking around ourselves, and because of our pupils dilated, and suddenly sort of the whole landscape revealed itself to us, and it's suddenly from sort of wading through ink, suddenly everything opened up, and we could see distance, and we started seeing detail on the mountains. We started to seeing stars. We started seeing clouds, and we were kind of looking at each other and realizing at the same time that there's just no way to photograph this feeling of vastness, and this feeling of grandeur in the sky, this big oppressing sky, which was such a big part of our story. So we kind of immediately started thinking, how can we sort of portray exactly that feeling that we had when we were out there in the field. And as a filmmaker, you always resort to some sort of a poetic language in order to tell the things that you can't tell, and I think as a director, especially, very often that's kind of the weaponry and the tools you have. But as a cinematographer, I just didn't want to sort of accept it from the outset. So I started very much exploring the technology. How can we do this? How can we simply photograph it the way that our eyes see it, or the way that we experience it?
And to be clear, it's I wrote because I was shooting the moon, as they call it, with this script. I wrote a script without any care whether or not it was possible to make. That was the whole point. And so I wrote a script that was impossible. And very early on, you came and told me, Jordan, these large nights, this large nighttime photography, there's a reason it does not exist in film. There's a reason. And so but he said, very quickly, I saw this look in his eyes, and he says, but I think, I have this idea, some ideas of how to figure this out. And so I was like, yeah, well, whatever it is, let's fucking go for it. Because that sounds awesome, because it's impossible. And and so anyway.
And it was pretty tricky as well,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of different sort of roads, technical roads that we had to turn into, and I think that a lot of directors they would have sort of lost their patience for that very quickly, but you kind of never did, because you had also, just like me, so much hunger to sort of come up with those images and sort of come up with a way to do that. And
I mean, Day for Night is done. It's been in film for a long time. This idea that you shoot something at day and you tweak the image or shoot it at right at dusk and whatever, but it's used very sparingly, and the illusion doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But what Hoyt did is something that tell him.
Well, I would love to tell you, but I don't know if I'm going to bore you with the technical detail of it. But effectively, what I can say is that we combined. We shot every day for now. We combined two cameras, from which one camera would capture infrared light with a very narrow bandwidth, and one camera would capture 70 millimeter film. And we would kind of overlay those images, so we approach very much the right relationship of lightness and darkness as your eyes will perceive during the night. At the same time, we would with our film camera, we would capture the color information and the grain information and all the rest of the information that we wanted for these images, and to match them with the other shots. So effectively, that's the technology. But
That is not boring at all.
It's-
We're
and it-
all interested in that. So thank you.
It's really cool shit. And you know, we worked with Guillaume Rocheron, our our visual effects supervisor, and so a lot of these shots at night are actually a combination of nighttime photography and daytime photography, where the foreground, to really bore you, the foreground will be shot at a different time than the background, and vice versa. And the whole thing is because you cannot light that amount of space at night. It'd be too expensive, too many lights. So anyway, one thing I'm very proud of, but I haven't really talked about, which is why I'm eager to tell you guys about it, is this thing that really pushes film forward and was difficult, and is something that I'm excited to work with in the future and continue to push.
It's amazing. The effect is kind of haunting. It looks like nothing you've seen before, but you don't know why.
It's meant to feel like night the way you experience night. So you're not meant to feel weird about it. But if you I think watch with watch with attention to it, and you'll really see a lot of craft in there.
There's also this thing, of course, with a thriller or horror. It's not for nothing that they most of the time they happen at night, and that is at a classic film night. There's so many places where you can hide things. You can just create dark nooks and crannies everywhere. And in a way, in this horror, this thriller, it's very very much based on that sort of phobia for open spaces as well, or being surrounded by spaces where hiding is not possible, and that is something that we also wanted to sort of work at night, and automatically when you would light a piece of night, when you would light a forest at night, the only thing that exists in the film is that place where you put your lights, and with this technology, everything exists suddenly at night. So it sort of required from us as well a different way of storytelling there, right? It's not so much about jump scares, but it's much more about eeriness, and the jump scare is not coming out of that dark corner, but it can come literally from everywhere.
Huh. Interesting. I want to ask you about IMAX as well. There's some beautiful large format images in the film that I think will really be amazing on this screen. I didn't get to watch it in IMAX yet, but I'm going to go back and do that as soon as I can. But also, there's a hand-cranked IMAX camera in the movie. And, just to kind of nerd out a little more, I didn't know that was a thing. A hand-cranked IMAX is a real thing. And then...
That's the Mark II.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But that is a real IMAX camera. It's a famous IMAX camera. It's the prop that's in the camera is the one that went to space and Everest. And
it's the Mark II IMAX camera that it's called.
The IMAX piece of this puzzle and the scope of it is is the other piece of adventure that really made us giddy. And it starts and very early on. There's a very meta aspect to this film. This idea of capturing, how far can we go to capture this impossible, capture the impossible shot. And I came to Hoyt, said, in real life, and one of the first things I think you asked me is the host character based on me? I was like, we'll see how it goes. But he was very much, Hoyt became a guiding principle, because I have a character whose job it is to capture the impossible shot in the film.
Well, as well as that, he's wearing my scarf in the movie.
It's true. Not entirely an accident, or I think maybe subconscious. I don't know.
No, we were doing tech prep, and he came to Panavision to sort of study us fiddling around with the cameras, because he wanted to know how it works.
So Michael Wincott.
But suddenly, sort of, his eyes were going away from the camera and was just following, and then you know, with his hands, he just grabbed my scarf. He said, "What is this?" You know, I gotta have that. It's like,
And then he took your scarf
and
for a while,
he took
didn't
my
he?
scarf,
He took
and
your literal
and it
scarf.
felt so right. And he was like, you know.
But I asked Hoyt, you know, if I came to you and said there's a UFO over my house from time to time, for posterity's sake, I want to capture a shot of it. I want to take it to Oprah. What would you use? What would be the perfect? He said, I would use IMAX. I would use IMAX, and I'll let you explain why.
I mean, one of the reasons is definitely the fact that it had to be a camera that worked without electricity as well. But
Right.
But still today, it's in a way the most fine, you know, the most the format that has the ability to capture the best detail, the most clarity of any cameras in the world. I'm a very big fan of you know, of analog film, as many people know, but I still haven't found any format that surpasses in any way, you know, the way IMAX can capture detail and IMAX can capture life effectively.
Which was, I mean, that's news to me. Is the actual resolution of the image is the best. You know, for me, I wanted to make a spectacle. We talked about immersion. You know, I felt strongly like if I could get an audience to feel like they were under a UFO or an entity, if we were in the presence of something, that would be immersive enough alone to be a cinematic experience to build off of. So, you know, when Hoyt points out that, you know, yeah, this is what he would use, it became a no-brainer. And so we've got about 30%, 35% of the film is in IMAX when we need that immersion, when we need that scope. And yeah, and it's one of the kind of sort of special things about it, I think.
It's very beautiful, and it also, I mean, there's lesser and lesser screens where you can watch it the way it's supposed to be watched. But this theater is definitely one of them. It's one of the first ones ever built, I think. And
it is the first one ever built for IMAX specifically. There was a theater in Japan just for an exposition. And you will know that we showed Dunkirk here with your collaborator Christopher Nolan a few years ago at the festival. Really a magical experience to watch films on this screen. The last thing I want to ask you, Jordan, is people spend a lot of time decoding your films. I don't know if you like that or don't like that, but it's happening.
Including me when I was reading the script.
Oh, yeah? Okay. For this audience today, more than half of them have seen it. Many have not. How do you like people to go into watching Nope?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I try to make a film that's going to work for, you know, however you are. I tend to make movies presuming you've seen my first two.
We have.
But so you know, I presume you have an idea of what you're going to see, and that is sort of my you know, I use that in my creative process to create the film. But you know, I don't know. I want you to come in with a love of movies. I want you to come willing to be on a ride that you don't know where it'll go, and to love that part of movies.
Well, watch it the same way as it feels like to collaborate with you, I suppose, because that's exactly how it, you know, how it felt sometimes working with you. Is to be confronted with somebody that has a genuine love for movies and also wants to do something special with it.
One of the are we? Yeah, are we done? Thank you. It's nice. I don't know what that's for, but I'll take it. No, just to end up and just say one of the reasons I think our collaboration really worked here. And why we're able to have fun is, we both have a confidence in what we do, but there's a real desire to not be precious about what we've learned and what our preconceived notions are. And so when we jumped in, and our crew and our entire team had to sort of jump into this idea of like, we know what we're going to do until we don't, and when we don't, that's when we're going to get that really great idea or moment or something. And so that, he was perfect for that for me.
Fantastic. Thank you both very much for coming. Thank you for making this wonderful film with your incredible collaborators, by the way, Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, Stephen Yeun, and the rest of the cast. You're in for something special. Nope and IMAX. Please join me in thanking Jordan Peele and Hoyte van Hoytema. Thank you.